The sky above Earth was clear and blue, the kind of day that made people forget about the worries of the world. Birds flew lazily in patterns only they could understand. Dogs chased balls in parks. Children laughed near rivers. Humans went about their ordinary lives, never imagining that something extraordinary was about to happen. High above the clouds in the cold silence of space, strange shapes moved in perfect formation. They were not satellites. They were not airplanes. They were ships, tall, sleek, and dark, unlike anything Earth had ever seen. The ships glided silently, as if they knew exactly where to go. Slowly, they came closer, descending toward cities, forests, oceans, and deserts. In a small town in the Midwest, a farmer looked up from his field. His weathered hands shaded his eyes. He saw a shadow crossing the sun. What in the world? He muttered. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through the ground. Animals around him grew still. Birds stopped mid-flight. Cows turned their heads, as if sensing something beyond human understanding. The news spread fast. Social media exploded with blurry videos and photos. People argued. Some said it was a military experiment. Others said it was a hoax. But scientists knew these were not normal objects. They moved too fast, too smoothly, and they defied gravity in ways human technology could not. Then came the first message. It appeared in every language, broadcast in a calm, mechanical tone. We are the observers. We come to study and evaluate the dominant species of this planet. Cooperation is recommended. Governments panicked. Military forces were mobilized. Satellites tried to track the ships. Fighters scrambled in the skies. But every human defense seemed pointless. The observers moved too fast, and their shields made any attack ineffective. Meanwhile, the animals reacted in ways humans could not understand. Dogs refused to hide. Birds circled the ships aggressively. A herd of deer ran toward the nearest forest edge, but not to escape, only to watch. Even domestic cats, usually fearful of loud noises, stayed calm and stared into the sky. One of the observers, visible through a shimmering window, frowned. Its triangular face tilted as it tried to comprehend the behavior. Why are they not responding? It asked another observer. They should submit. They should obey. On a small farm, a child pointed at the sky. "Look, Mom, the sky is moving," she shouted. The mother grabbed her hand, fear in her eyes, but even she felt a strange sense of wonder. The animals in their yard, the dog, the cat, even the old horse, stood together, silent, as if protecting the humans from something unknown. The observers decided to test the planet's creatures. They sent down small drones, shining bright lights and emitting sounds designed to scare. Humans hid behind doors, hearts pounding. But the animals? They did not flee. A dog barked at the drone. A horse neighed loudly. Birds swooped toward the lights, forcing them to retreat. Even the oceans responded. Dolphins swam toward the nearest ship, not in fear, but as if curious. Sharks surfaced near the coast, patrolling silently. Earth's creatures were showing a unity the observers had not predicted. Every algorithm, every simulation, had failed to account for the unpredictable bravery of Earth's animals. In cities, the chaos was different. Traffic stopped. People left their cars to watch the sky. Some tried to capture the moment on their phones, but their attention was drawn to something else. The way cats on rooftops and squirrels in the parks moved in coordination, observing the ships. It was as if the entire animal kingdom had a silent understanding. This was not a threat to flee from. Inside the lead ship, the observers convened. Their leaders projected maps and data streams, analyzing the unexpected behavior. They refused to submit, one said, almost in disbelief. All species, not just humans. Outside, a flock of crows cawed loudly, diving dangerously close to one of the ships. The ship's shields flickered under the assault. Humans gasped, but the crows flew away unharmed, as if to say, "We are not afraid. You do not control us." That evening, the sun set behind the ships, casting long shadows across fields, forests, and cities. The hum of alien technology filled the air, but a strange calm lingered. Humans and animals watched together, silent allies in an unspoken bond. The observers realized something crucial. This planet was not like any they had studied before. It was not predictable. Its inhabitants were not obedient. There was a force here, something instinctive, unyielding, and clever, something they could not control. As night fell, the ships hovered silently, scanning, observing. Earth's animals returned to their routines. Birds roost, dogs curled up, cats prowled, but their eyes always watched the sky. Humans, too, felt a strange pride. Somehow, even without trying, they were part of a resistance greater than themselves. The first night passed without conflict, but everyone knew this was only the beginning. Something extraordinary had landed on Earth, something that would change the planet forever. And for the first time, humans understood. This was not a test they were going to fail. The observers had come to study. But Earth's animals and humans had already begun to teach the first lesson. Submission was not in their nature. The next morning, Earth awoke under a strange shadow. The alien ships hung silently in the sky, larger and more numerous than anyone had imagined. People cautiously stepped outside, while animals remained unusually alert. No birds sang. Dogs stayed close to their owners. Even the smallest insects seemed to move with purpose, sensing something in the air that humans could not understand. Inside the lead ship, the observers convened. Their triangular faces glowed faintly, reflecting worry. Yesterday was unexpected. One said, "All species remain independent." None submitted. "Our protocols are failing." Another observer tapped a floating screen. Images of dogs barking at drones, monkeys throwing objects, and herds of elephants standing in formation scrolled by. They are resisting instinctively. Their behavior is unpredictable. No pattern matches our simulations. The observers decided to try something new. If subtle observation had failed, perhaps force would succeed. Small pods descended from the ships, each equipped with strange devices designed to influence the mind of animals. The aliens called them compliance emitters. A soft blue light surrounded a park in New York, where a flock of pigeons had gathered. The emitters projected sounds and images meant to encourage obedience. But the pigeons did not obey. Instead, they flew closer, pecking at the devices, circling in strange, synchronized patterns. The emitters buzzed and flickered, unable to maintain control. Humans watching from nearby rooftops gasped in amazement. A dog barked continuously at one of the pods, making it vibrate and malfunction. Even squirrels jumped onto the devices, climbing and chewing wires. In Africa, the observers tried the same experiment with a herd of elephants. They sent a gentle pulse designed to guide the herd toward submission. At first, it seemed to work. The elephants paused. Then, a matriarch trumpeted loudly, and the herd charged, moving in coordinated patterns that scattered the emitters and toppled several. The aliens could not understand. Their advanced technology, capable of influencing thousands of worlds, had failed here. "They are stronger than expected," one observer admitted. "Not in force, but in will." Meanwhile, humans noticed the animals' defiance and felt a strange sense of pride. Farmers and city dwellers alike watched their dogs, cats, birds, and even insects resist the aliens without a single command. Humans began sharing strategies with one another: how to protect animals, how to avoid provoking the aliens unnecessarily, how to observe quietly. It was the first moment of cooperation between species on a global scale. The observers grew frustrated. They tried telepathy next, sending silent signals meant to influence thoughts. They aimed at a flock of crows in London. The crows, however, seemed to understand the intent. They cawed in unison, then scattered to rooftops, diving at the alien probes as if daring them to try again. In the forests of North America, wolves circled the edges of alien landing zones. The observer projected visions of fear, glowing shadows, terrifying sounds, but the wolves did not run. Instead, they howled together, communicating in a language humans could barely understand, creating a shield of noise that confused the alien sensors. By now, it was clear Earth's animals would not bow down, and the observers, for all their intelligence and technology, had underestimated one crucial thing. Life on this planet had instincts, creativity, and unpredictability no simulation could replicate. Humans observed quietly, amazed, Farmers, hikers, and city residents saw a lesson unfold before their eyes. They realized that submission was not natural here. Cooperation, yes. Survival, yes. But obedience to an external, dominating force? Never. Humans felt connected to the animals, sensing a shared defiance they could not fully explain. One observer finally spoke. Our methods are insufficient. The resistance is coordinated. Its tone was sharp, almost fearful. We must escalate, or we cannot complete our mission. The aliens' next step was to test humans directly. Could they be made to submit through fear, promises, or technology? But before they could act, a remarkable thing happened. Animals intervened subtly. A dog knocked over a piece of alien equipment. Birds swarmed sensors, jamming communications. Even ants chewed on wires, small yet persistent. The aliens found themselves in a strange war of patience, outsmarted by creatures they had dismissed as simple. In New York, a young boy pointed at a drone hovering near his schoolyard. "Look, it's broken." His mother smiled, relieved, as a dog sitting beside her barked triumphantly. It was a small victory, but it meant something bigger. Earth's creatures, humans included, could fight back not with guns or weapons, but with courage, creativity, and unity. By evening, the aliens paused. They retreated slightly, hovering above cities rather than descending closer. Their sensors scanned endlessly. Try to understand this world, this unexpected resistance. Humans watched the ships, knowing the challenge was far from over. And all over the planet, animals returned to their routines, calm yet watchful, prepared to defend their home in ways humans could barely comprehend. It was the first day the aliens realized Earth was different. It was the first day they understood that power alone could not force obedience here. And humans began to understand, with quiet pride, that the world they shared with animals was stronger than anything the observers had ever faced. The night came quietly, but suspense lingered in the air. Above, the alien ships pulsed softly, preparing for the next test. On Earth, humans and animals slept, but the planet had already sent its first message to the intruders. Submission would not come easily. The morning sun rose over Earth, but the sky was no longer ordinary. Alien ships hovered silently, casting long shadows across forests, cities, and oceans. Their strange hum filled the air, vibrating in ways that made humans uneasy. But the animals? They were alert, watching, calculating, unafraid. Inside the lead ship, the observers gathered once more. Their triangular faces glimmered with confusion. "Yesterday our tests failed," one said. "The animals do not obey. They resist instinctively. It is unusual. Perhaps we need to communicate differently," another suggested. "They may not understand fear. Maybe they can understand messages." So the aliens tried something new. Using advanced translation devices, they projected words, images, and sounds meant to convey their authority. "You must obey," one message said in a calm tone. Another broadcast holograms of strange, glowing shapes, designed to impress and intimidate. In Central Park, a flock of pigeons watched the holograms carefully. Humans nearby gasped, thinking the birds might finally submit. But the pigeons did something unexpected. They began to dive and swoop around the holograms, breaking the shapes apart. Children laughed and clapped at the spectacle. The aliens recorded the scene, confused. They mock us," one observer said. Dogs across the city barked at the messages, chasing invisible intruders in the air. Cats, usually aloof, hissed and arched their backs at the glowing shapes. Even a small colony of ants in the park formed lines to intercept and carry away tiny alien devices that had fallen to the ground. In the forests of South America, monkeys became the greatest challenge. The aliens tried to communicate directly, projecting images of food, threats, and gestures meant to convince the monkeys to cooperate. But the monkeys were clever. They stole small alien tools, threw them at trees, and used vines to trap drones. Each failed attempt made the observers increasingly frustrated. Meanwhile, humans watched quietly. Scientists, children, and ordinary citizens all saw the cleverness of Earth's animals. The humans began to understand something important. These creatures were not just resisting. They were thinking, adapting, and even laughing at the aliens' attempts. It was a humor the aliens could not comprehend. One observer turned to another. Our communications are meaningless. They do not process messages as we intend. Even the humans, they cooperate with the animals. This planet is illogical. In London, a flock of crows gathered atop tall buildings. The aliens tried to project a hologram of a larger, frightening creature to intimidate them. The crows tilted their heads, watched, and then began to mimic the hologram sounds, calling out in their own language as if mocking it. Humans on the streets stopped to watch, astonished. Cameras captured the scene and clips went viral online. The observers tried again, this time focusing on humans. They sent out visual projections and soothing sounds, expecting obedience. Some humans froze, unsure what to do, but then animals intervened. Dogs barked, cats meowed sharply, and birds flew close to the devices, disrupting the signals. Humans instinctively helped, shooing birds away from the projections or blocking drones with sticks. In the deserts, a group of camels observed the ships silently. The aliens attempted to communicate through vibrations and low-frequency sounds, thinking the animals might respond. But the camels simply moved together, forming a defensive line as if daring the aliens to come closer. Even the smallest creatures, a desert fox, a scorpion, avoided the signals, but in ways that made the aliens' equipment misfire repeatedly. The observer began to understand a terrifying truth. Earth's animals could not only resist but could adapt and outsmart alien technology. No force, no command, no communication could guarantee compliance. Each species had instincts and cleverness that surpassed any algorithm the aliens had ever created. Humans noticed these interactions and felt a deep, quiet pride. It was not brute strength that made Earth unique. It was intelligence, creativity, and cooperation. People realized that their bond with animals was more than companionship. It was partnership, instinctively uniting against an unknown force. In one city, a young girl watched as a dog cornered a small alien device and gently nudged it into a fountain. Nearby, pigeons pecked at the same device until it sank. The girl laughed, clapping her hands. "They can't control us," she shouted. Her father smiled and nodded. "Not today," he said quietly. By afternoon, the observers had exhausted many of their methods. Their faces glimmered with frustration. "This planet, it cannot be controlled," one said. "Even the humans cooperate with the animals, but not in ways we understand. It is illogical, chaotic, unpredictable." Night fell, but the tension did not fade. Alien lights pulsed across the sky, scanning endlessly. Animals returned to their routines, alert but calm. Humans watched alongside them, realizing that Earth had survived its first full day under alien observation. Somewhere, deep inside the lead ship, an observer whispered, almost to itself, "This is unlike any planet. They cannot be forced. We cannot predict them. We may have underestimated everything." And Earth's creatures slept, or at least rested, ready to resist again, proving that the strongest force was not technology or power, but life itself, clever, instinctive, and unyielding. The morning was quiet, almost deceptively peaceful. The alien ships hovered above cities, forests, and oceans, their shadows stretching long over the land. Humans and animals had grown accustomed to the strange in the sky, but there was a tension in the air that everyone could feel. Something was about to happen. Inside the lead ship, the observers convened once again. Their triangular faces glowed faintly. "Observation alone is insufficient," one said sharply. "They will not submit. Resistance is coordinated. It cannot continue." Another nodded. "We must escalate. Force may succeed where communication fails." And so the first strike began. Small, swift robotic drones descended from the ships. They moved with precision, armed with pulsing energy beams, and nets designed to capture any creature that opposed them. Their target, Earth's animals. In a forest in North America, a pack of wolves sensed a threat before it arrived. The first drones appeared between the trees, scanning for movement. The wolves howled, not in fear, but in warning. Birds took flight, cawing loudly and dive-bombing the drones. Deer and elk ran in patterns designed to confuse machines, while a bear stood its ground, swiping at a drone with massive paws. The humans nearby watched in awe. Rangers, hikers, and local villagers noticed how every animal moved with purpose. It was not chaos. It was strategy. And for the first time, humans began to understand the full strength of Earth's natural defenses. In the cities, drones targeted pigeons, dogs, and cats. But the animals were ready. Dogs barked furiously, chasing machines. Cats darted between shadows, pouncing and swiping, knocking drones off balance. Even pigeons and crows attacked in coordinated waves, forcing drones to retreat repeatedly. Children cheered from rooftops, laughing at the sight, while adults stared in amazement. On a farm in the Midwest, a horse herd blocked the path of a descending drone. Their hooves pounded the ground in unison, creating vibrations that caused the drone to wobble and fall. Nearby, a group of humans grabbed sticks and barrels, helping redirect the drones away from the animals. It was the first moment of real collaboration, humans and animals working as one. The observers inside their ships were shocked. Their advanced drones, designed to subdue entire planets, were being defeated by instinct and intelligence. How is this possible? One observer asked. They coordinate instinctively. They adapt. This was not in our simulations. In the deserts, camels and foxes combined forces. Camels use their size to block drones, while foxes darted between their legs, confusing the machines. Even small desert lizards moved strategically, causing drones to trip and malfunction. The observers could only watch, unable to intervene fast enough. The oceans were no exception. Dolphins and whales created massive waves near the ships, disrupting sensors and communications. Schools of fish swirled in patterns that overloaded the alien visual tracking systems. Seagulls and pelicans attacked drones near the coast, swooping and pecking with precision. Humans on boats and beaches cheered. For the first time, it felt like Earth had united in silent resistance. Inside the ships, panic spread among the observers. They are too unpredictable, one said. Force alone cannot control them. Another observer projected data on a screen. Every species that the aliens had tried to influence yesterday was now actively defending its home. Wolves, birds, elephants, dogs, and even humans had become part of a network that no alien system could calculate. This is intelligence combined with instinct. It is unexpected. By afternoon, the drones were failing. Many had crashed or been disabled. Animals returned to the shadows, watching, while humans began sharing strategies. Which areas were safe, where animals could regroup, and how to distract drones. There was no fear, only a quiet, determined resolve. The first clash ended without full destruction, but the lesson was clear. Earth would not bow. Its creatures were clever, adaptable, and coordinated, and humans had begun to realize that their role was not to dominate the planet, but to defend it alongside the animals. The aliens hovered higher now, observing, planning. Their technology had failed against instinct and cooperation. For the first time, they understood that this planet could not be controlled with force alone. As night fell, the humans lit campfires and returned to their homes, but their eyes remained on the sky. The animals rested but did not sleep deeply. Wolves howled across forests. Birds perched silently, watching the ships. Even the smallest creatures moved cautiously, ready for the next challenge. Above all, the observers realized one undeniable truth. Earth's life was not just surviving. It was fighting back, and the fight had only just begun. The morning after the first clash, Earth was alive with a strange energy. Animals moved carefully but with confidence. Humans, too, were alert, sharing stories of bravery from the day before. But the observers had not given up. Their drones repaired and upgraded, ready for a more aggressive approach. In a dense forest, a group of aliens attempted to capture several animals for study. Their target, a small group of wolves, deer, and a fox. The capture devices emitted bright beams, enclosing the creatures in energy cages. At first, it seemed perfect. The aliens had learned to anticipate instinctive resistance. But the animals were not so easily trapped. The fox darted to the edge of the cage, testing it with sharp teeth. The wolves growled and circled, planning silently. The deer waited, tense but ready. Instinctively, they coordinated. With a sudden lunge, the fox dislodged a corner of the cage. The The wolves pushed forward, their weight toppling the device. The deer bolted in a confusing pattern, scattering sensors and forcing the drones to recalibrate. Humans watching from a hidden ridge gasped. "They're going to make it," one whispered. A young girl nearby threw a branch at a drone, distracting it just long enough for a wolf to escape. Humans had become participants, not by choice, but by instinctive cooperation. In a city park, the aliens tried a different approach. They capture a flock of pigeons, enclosing them in transparent, floating pods. The pods glimmered under the sunlight, moving slowly toward the lead ship. The pigeons, far from helpless, began pecking at wires and tapping the pods with their beaks. One by one, the devices malfunctioned, tipping over and spilling the birds onto the streets. Humans cheered quietly, amazed at the cleverness of these small creatures. Elsewhere, a dolphin trapped near a research station used water currents to disrupt sensors, creating bubbles that confused the drone's cameras. Nearby, humans released smaller boats to help, nudging floating alien devices out of water. Even ants in the park joined, chewing wires and creating small but effective chaos. The observers inside the lead ship were growing desperate. Their simulations had accounted for resistance, but never for cooperation between species, especially when humans were involved. "How is this possible?" one observer asked. "They coordinate instinctively, yet with thought. They are adaptable." On a mountain ridge, a captured mountain goat uses horns to push against the alien cages, dislodging wires. Below, humans guided the animal's path, clearing obstacles and distracting drones. The escape became a dance of intelligence, instinct, and courage. In one dramatic moment, a pack of wolves ran toward the edge of a cliff. Drones hovered close, ready to capture. But a clever move by a human, a thrown rope entangled the drone stabilizers, sent the machine spinning away. The wolves leapt, landing safely on a ledge below. Nearby, birds signaled a success by circling and calling loudly. Even smaller creatures participated. Mice and rabbits darted across the forest floor, creating confusion. Snakes moved silently, tripping small sensors. Every action, no matter how small, contributed to the larger escape plan. By afternoon, almost all captured animals had broken free. The observers were forced to retreat, recalibrating their strategy. Their drones were damaged, their equipment confused. The creatures of Earth, large and small, wild and domestic, had proven once again that technology alone could not control instinctive intelligence. Humans and animals regrouped quietly, catching their breath. There was no celebration, only a shared understanding. Survival required cooperation, courage, and cleverness. The world had united in a subtle, instinctive way that no alien could predict. Above, the alien ships hovered, their lights flickering in frustration. They studied the humans and animals below, realizing that capture alone would not work. There was too much unpredictability, too much resistance. As night fell, the freed animals returned to their routines, though they remained alert. Wolves patrolled forests. Birds perched on rooftops. Dogs stayed close to humans. Even the smallest creatures, from insects to squirrels, moved with purpose, ready for the next challenge. Humans, too, felt a strange pride. They had not only survived the day, but had helped their planet's creatures escape a powerful enemy. They had learned something essential. Earth's strength was not just in its technology or intelligence alone, but in the unity between its people and its life. Somewhere in the lead ship, an observer murmured, almost in disbelief, "This planet, it cannot be controlled. Every attempt to dominate has failed. Every plan is incomplete. There is intelligence here we cannot predict." The night was calm, but tension remained. The aliens would return. They would escalate their tactics. But Earth's defenders, humans and animals alike, were ready. And the first great escape had taught everyone an important lesson. Freedom was defended not by force alone, but by cleverness, instinct, and unity. Tomorrow would bring another challenge. The observers would test the planet again. But Earth had proven something critical today. No creature, no matter how small or large, would bow easily. And humans were beginning to understand their role, not as conquerors, but as allies of every living thing on their planet. After the chaos of the first clash and the great escape, The alien ships hovered silently over Earth. Their lights glimmered, scanning forests, cities, and oceans. Inside the lead ship, the observers convened, their triangular faces glowing with frustration and confusion. "They are different," one observer said. "Every species we have studied adapts unpredictably. Our tools are insufficient. They work together without communication. We can understand." Another nodded. "Even humans cooperate instinctively with the animals. This planet is resistant in ways we cannot calculate." The aliens paused. For the first time, observation alone was no longer enough. They studied patterns: wolves coordinating with birds, dolphins signaling humans, elephants forming protective circles. Even ants, tiny and fragile, interfered with drones and sensors, showing a level of persistence no technology could anticipate. Meanwhile, Earth's animals returned to their routines, but subtly, carefully, keeping their eyes on the sky. Wolves patrolled their forests silently, aware of every movement above. Birds circled rooftops and trees, watching the ships. Even small creatures like squirrels and rabbits moved along paths that humans had never noticed, making sure no drone could sneak past them. Humans began to notice these patterns. Scientists and ordinary people alike marveled at how Earth's life seemed to anticipate threats. Farmers watched their animals carefully, realizing that the dogs, horses, and even chickens acted not only for survival, but to protect one another. Children played among birds and squirrels, laughing as the animals seemed to respond with cleverness and timing that felt almost human. In Africa, a herd of elephants crossed a plain. Drones attempted to monitor and control them, but the elephants' movement patterns disrupted sensors perfectly. Nearby, humans watched from a safe distance, taking notes, recording the moment. One woman whispered, "It's as if they know exactly what the aliens plan before it happens." In the oceans, dolphins and whales continued their silent resistance. The dolphins swam in carefully coordinated circles, breaking sonar signals. Whales sang songs that interfered with alien instruments. Humans on boats and islands observed quietly, realizing that Earth's intelligence was not only in humans, but shared with every living being. The observers struggled to understand. They projected simulations and calculations, but every model failed. "They cooperate without instruction," one said. "They anticipate. They learn from each other. This is extraordinary." To test this, the aliens tried to send drones at night, assuming animals would be less alert. But Earth's nocturnal creatures were ready. Owls patrolled silently, bats swooped in patterns that confused sensors, and foxes used shadows to evade capture while signaling humans. Even small insects interfered, crawling along wires and causing short circuits. Every species contributed in ways no alien technology had predicted. Humans began to realize their place in this web of resistance. They were not commanding the animals. They were allies, observers, and participants. A farmer in South America watched as his llamas blocked a small alien device, while birds distracted a hovering drone. He smiled quietly, understanding the unspoken language of cooperation between humans and animals. In one city park, pigeons, dogs, and children worked together instinctively. The pigeons blocked sensors, the dogs distracted drones, and humans carefully guided the animals without fear. Every failure of the aliens' technology was a lesson in Earth's resilience. The observers grew increasingly frustrated. They could see patterns, yes, but patterns that they could not control. Every plan, every simulation, was undermined by life's creativity, instinct, and unpredictable logic. "This planet," one observer said quietly, "teaches lessons, but lessons we may not understand fully. Even our most advanced simulations fail here." Earth's creatures have begun to adapt to the aliens' presence not with panic, but with intelligence. Wolves watched drones from a distance before attacking. Birds observed patterns and communicated signals. Humans subtly guided animals without taking credit. Even the smallest creatures, ants, mice, lizards, found ways to interfere. It was a network of life, instinctive, intelligent, and cooperative. By nightfall, the observers had retreated slightly, hovering high above the clouds. They studied Earth's defenders, realizing a truth that humans had long known but aliens had underestimated. Survival required more than strength or technology. It required intelligence, creativity, and unity. On the ground, humans and animals rested together. Wolves slept beside humans in makeshift camps. Birds perched silently near rooftops and trees. Dolphins played near coastlines, keeping watch. Even the smallest creatures, hidden in grass and soil, remained alert. Humans reflected quietly on the day. They were part of something larger, a silent alliance with Earth's creatures. And they understood instinctively that their strength was not in domination, but in cooperation. Above, the aliens observed and calculated, struggling to understand this resistance. Earth had taught them a lesson already. Life here was adaptive, clever, and unpredictable. Every plan could fail. Every calculation could be wrong, because intelligence on Earth was not confined to one species. It was everywhere. And for the first time, humans realized the full power of their planet. They did not need alien technology to fight. They had instinct, creativity, and unity on their side. Earth's defenders, human and animal, were learning together. Tomorrow would bring another challenge. But tonight, for the first time, humans and animals alike felt a quiet confidence. They had survived the first lessons. They had adapted, and the planet itself had begun teaching the greatest lesson of all, that together, its creatures were unstoppable. The sun rose over Earth, but its light could not chase away the tension. Alien ships hovered low this time, larger and more numerous than ever. Their hum vibrated across mountains, oceans, and cities. Inside the lead ship, the observers convened in urgent discussion. This planet resists too much, one observer said sharply. Our previous strikes, our tests, our captures, they all failed. We cannot control them. Another observer projected a massive map of Earth, highlighting areas of high resistance. They coordinate instinctively. They adapt. Every species contributes. Even humans intervene, without clear communication. We cannot predict them. We must act decisively. And so, the final attack began. Alien drones swarmed over forests, deserts, and cities in overwhelming numbers. Pulses of energy cut through the air, scanning for targets. This time, the aliens intended to force submission once and for all. But Earth's defenders were ready. Wolves, foxes, and deer moved with precision, anticipating drones before they arrived. Birds dived in coordinated attacks, blocking sensors and confusing machines. Dolphins created massive waves along the coast, and whales disrupted sonar with powerful songs. Even small creatures, ants, lizards, and mice, acted strategically, sabotaging alien devices wherever they could reach. Humans became active participants, not by order but instinctively. Farmers and villagers guided animals, blocking drones or distracting alien forces. Children used ropes and makeshift slings to tangle sensors. Scientists analyzed patterns of movement and helped coordinate safe paths for wildlife. In a city park, a dog herd formed a protective circle around a group of pigeons. The drone swooped down to capture them, but the pigeons flew upward in waves, confusing the machines. The dogs barked and chased, forcing the drones off balance. Nearby humans guided a stray rope to entangle drone stabilizers. It crashed to the ground harmlessly. In the forest, wolves led drones into narrow canyons, where human-planted obstacles slowed them. Birds and squirrels moved through the trees, creating chaos. Deer ran in unpredictable zigzag patterns, disrupting the drone's calculations. Even the tiniest creatures contributed, gnawing wires or tripping sensors. Above the oceans, dolphins and whales coordinated with humans on boats. Waves and currents created barriers, while humans deployed floating barriers to block drones. Seagulls and pelicans swooped to distract alien instruments. The coordination between humans and animals was seamless, instinctive, and clever, something no alien algorithm had ever anticipated. The observers grew frantic. Their drones were being disabled or destroyed faster than replacements could arrive. They coordinate faster than we can adapt, one said. They anticipate, they learn, they resist. Force alone cannot succeed. On a ridge, a young girl pointed at a crashing drone. Look, Mom, they can't win. Her mother smiled, quietly proud, as the animals around them remained vigilant. Dogs barked, cats prowled, birds circled. Humans had become part of the network. In the mountains, a pack of wolves led the alien drones into a gorge where humans had prepared simple traps. Logs, rocks, and ropes slowed the machine's movements. The wolves howled in coordination with nearby birds, signaling humans and animals alike. The drones toppled one by one, their advanced technology helpless against instinct, planning, and teamwork. Even the desert offered resistance. Camels and foxes moved strategically, blocking drones' paths. Small desert creatures tripped devices or chewed at wires. Humans guided animals to safety, watching as each move added to the chaos above. By afternoon, the aliens realized their overwhelming attack had failed. Their ships remained in the sky, but drones were broken or disabled, equipment damaged, sensors jammed. Earth's defenders had turned the planet itself into a clever, coordinated shield. Inside the lead ship, the observers finally paused. "This planet, it cannot be conquered," one said quietly. "Its intelligence is distributed, adaptive, unpredictable. Force alone is useless." Another observer projected a map showing human and animal movements. Patterns of coordination were everywhere. We underestimated them. Not just humans. Every creature contributes. Every action counts. We are outmatched. Humans and animals observed the ships above silently. Wolves patrol forests. Birds perch strategically on rooftops and trees. Dolphins circle coasts. Even small creatures move with purpose. They had survived the largest attack so far, and they had done it together. The sun began to set. Humans lit small fires, watching the ships. Animals returned to quiet vigilance, resting but alert. It was a rare moment of calm after a day of tension and chaos. And in that moment, a truth became clear. Earth's life was united not by fear, not by force, but by intelligence, instinct, and cooperation. Humans understood their role, protectors, allies, and participants in the clever defense of their world. Above, the alien ships hovered silently. They had witnessed something unexpected, a planet where power alone could not conquer, where life itself, human and animal alike, was unpredictable, creative, and unstoppable. For the first time, the observers understood the meaning of resistance on Earth. They had underestimated it before. Now, they had no choice but to retreat and reconsider. Humans watched the horizon, knowing that the next day might bring new challenges, but confident in the bond they shared with their planet's creatures. Together, they had faced the greatest attack yet and survived. And somewhere deep inside, the observers whispered each other in disbelief. "We came to dominate, but we have learned the true strength of life on this world." The first major showdown had ended, but the lesson of the day would last forever. Earth's life, human and animal, could not be forced. They were clever, adaptive, and united, and that made them unstoppable. The sky over Earth was quiet for the first time in days. The alien ships hung high above, their metallic surfaces reflecting the sunlight. Inside the lead ship, the observers were silent. Their triangular faces glimmered with something unfamiliar, confusion, disbelief, and a reluctant respect. "This planet," one said slowly, almost to itself, "it cannot be controlled. Its life adapts, resists, and fights back in ways we cannot predict." Another observer projected the data collected over the past week. Thousands of failed drone attacks, hundreds of captured and escaped animals, and countless human interventions. Every calculation, every simulation, every strategy had failed. The observers had underestimated Earth's greatest strength, not its technology, but the unity, intelligence, and unpredictability of its life. Outside, humans and animals moved cautiously. Wolves patrolled the forests, their eyes scanning the horizon. Birds perched silently, watching the ships. Dolphins swam near the coasts, sending waves that mirrored their vigilance. Even the smallest creatures, ants, mice, foxes, and rabbits, moved in ways that kept their world safe. Humans stood among them, silent observers and allies. Farmers and villagers, scientists and children, all understood the power of what had happened. The aliens had come to dominate, to test, to bend Earth's life to their will. And yet, the planet had resisted. Not through fear, not through weapons, but through instinct, intelligence, and cooperation. The lead observer finally spoke, addressing the others. "We have failed. We cannot control this planet. Its life is remarkable. It is resilient. It is clever. and it is united. Another nodded slowly. Perhaps we should leave. Study from afar. This world is not ours to conquer. And so, without warning, the ships began to ascend. Slowly, then with speed, they moved away from Earth. Humans watched in awe as the vessels disappeared into the atmosphere, leaving behind only shadows on the land and the faint hum that slowly faded. On the ground, animals and humans remained still for a long moment. Then the forest filled with sounds once more. Birds singing, wolves howling in celebration, and the quiet rustle of smaller creatures in the underbrush. Dogs barked happily, cats purred and stretched, and even horses neighed in relief. Humans smiled, some with tears in their eyes, as they realized what had just happened. A young girl hugged her dog tightly. "We did it," she whispered. Her mother knelt beside her. "Yes, we did," she said softly, together with everyone else, humans and animals alike. Across the planet, similar scenes unfolded. In cities, people cheered quietly while animals returned to their routines, alert but calm. In the oceans, dolphins leaped in arcs above the waves, signaling the departure of the invaders. Elephants trumpeted in the wild, their calls echoing across the plains. Every living being, large and small, had played a part. The humans realized something profound. This victory was not just survival. It was a lesson, a confirmation that Earth's strength lay in unity, intelligence, and the courage to resist domination. They had not only defended their homes, but also honored the lives of every creature sharing the planet with them. High above, the observers drifted silently through space. They had come to dominate, to impose their will on Earth. And yet, they had learned a truth that no technology could calculate. Life on this planet was unpredictable, resilient, and united in ways that no alien force could conquer. Inside the lead ship, one observer finally admitted quietly, "Perhaps they are extraordinary. Perhaps humans and animals together are unstoppable." Back on Earth, night fell. Stars twinkled above, untouched by alien lights. Humans lit small fires, shared stories, and quietly reflected on what had happened. Wolves curled near their human allies. Birds sailed into treetops, and animals of all kinds rested, alert but safe. The planet had survived its first encounter with a powerful alien force, and life had proven itself stronger than anyone had imagined. The day had been long. The fights had been tense. The escapes had been clever. And now, in the calm that followed, Earth breathed with relief. Humans understood their role, protectors, observers, and partners of the planet's creatures. Together, they had shown the aliens a simple truth. Domination could not succeed where unity, instinct, and intelligence existed. And somewhere, drifting silently in space, the observers looked back at Earth one final time. They would not return soon, perhaps not ever. But the lesson they carried with them was clear. This planet, with its humans and animals, was not like any other they had encountered. It could not be controlled. It would not bow. And it was alive in ways that were truly extraordinary. On Earth, life returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after what had occurred. Wolves howled under the moonlight. Birds called to one another. Dogs slept at their humans' feet, and humans finally rested. The planet was free. The lesson had been learned, and the bond between humans and the creatures of Earth had never been stronger. The day the aliens left, Earth had won, not through weapons, not through fear, but through courage, intelligence, and the unstoppable unity of life itself.